Hello and welcome to dive 590. This will be a pretty short dive, pretty quick, but it's also quite shallow. And so we are currently going to be cruising around looking at an area that is used for the sea cucumber fishery nearby. So we'll probably see a lot of sea cucumbers, but you're going to see us doing video transects here, maybe some collections. Intermission might occur. We'll see what happens there. But a pretty short dive. I don't have a time on deck, but I mean, like 3 hours maybe, possibly 4 hours. Quite short. So if you're joining us, welcome. We are going to be staying pretty shallow for this dive, as short as it is. I see folks trickling in, so welcome, welcome. Stuart, would you be able to kind of describe the area and what we're looking at for this one?
So hello to everybody. My name is Stuart. I'm an oceanographer working at Charles Darwin Station here in Galapagos. At the moment, we're in one of the most productive parts of the archipelago, the islands to the west, areas where we have huge phytoplankton blooms. And the channel where we are at the moment is actually a channel called Canal Simón Bolívar, which is between the islands, or the westernmost islands of Isabella and Fernandina, the geologically massed most volcanic islands in the archipelago. The area where we are this morning is specifically chosen because it's an area which is particularly productive, and it's an area which is one of the most areas of interest for local fisheries over the last 20 or 30 years. Also in large part because of this kind of amazing production which we have, because of the way that the undercurrents hit the western side of the Galapagos platform and bring this nutrient-rich water up into the surface. So what we're actually looking at the moment is a site which is actually quite close to the southeast corner of Fernandina Island, called Punta Mangle, or Mangrove Point. You see a lot of the sediment that we're coming across at the moment. This is very kind of fine, silty, organic sediment, which is in part because of these big plankton blooms which we always get across this part of the islands, but also because, as you can probably see, I think that you also can see kind of mangrove leaves and other plant debris as we go along, which is kind of contribution from the amazing production that you get in mangrove bays along the coast. So we'll be traversing over the next couple of hours, heading up from about 250 meters. We have a slight kind of rise in the middle, up towards about 100 meters towards the end of the dive. And the idea is to try to get an idea for the first time of what we actually have across some of the shallower parts of the reserve that we still can't reach by normal conventional scuba diving. So one of the reasons is that it has been a very heavily fished area in the past for species like sea cucumbers. And we're interested to see what other species are down here, and also whether there's any evidence of some of these sea cucumbers and other fish species being below about 40 meters down to about 200 meters where we are now. 1551.
Yes, this is quite different terrain from what we've had on our recent dives. Been lots of these fish kind of just chilling on the bottom, as well as going over quite a lot of sea cucumbers. So a bit different from the other dives, nice little bit of variety. We are pretty close to shore here. I can show you on one of our cameras. You know, you can see it right there. So not too far off. But yeah, this will be quite a short dive, and then we are hoping to have another dive later on in the afternoon. So even though it's a short dive now, we're hoping to get back in pretty quick.
Another reason why this rock's is so important to us is because it's not just one particular type of habitat that's important if you're looking to manage or conserve or protect marine species. And what we find is that it's the interaction between different habitats like rocky reef and sandy bottom and different depth ranges that's so important for species. So if you're looking to protect parts of the coast or properly manage the different types of marine species that we find, it's important to know where they forage, where they rest, where their reproductive areas are. That's why we also need to include these areas.
Or it could be a short tooth. Sorry. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Alright. So what here today is a little bit.
Take it easy, man. Take it easy.
Crazy.
Let's go.
One
more leg left.
So we
I'm
have.
not even gonna touch it.
So the only thing to remember, we got RNA later at 10 and 12.
Got a ROV pilot watch change happening here. We got Russ jumping in at the controls, and Ben's going to be over at co-pilot.
The visa cam thing, now that's back. And we can cruise along like where Stuart wants to see. There's a little bit of stuff on the sonar coming up to the left. If you are you interested in rocky stuff?
Yeah, if you find rocky outcrops, that would be great. As we head up,
We did put some cucumbers.
as we're going to head up, we're probably going to find there's a bit of a rise halfway through the transect. So we can
See in the sonar, there was the 30 meters. So we just start losing our channel.
So yeah, we're starting pretty shallow with this one compared to our other dives, and we are going to be getting even more shallow, looking to make our way up to about 100 meters shallow. So there won't really be a mid-water ascent probably on the way back up, because we're right at recovery depth at that point. So, but again, short dive this time around with hopefully another dive later in the day.
That's all copy, thank you.
Yeah, so you can drive away. Should we get inside soon? Yeah, a couple of targets there.
What sort of range do you have in the range?
About 50-meter range right now, so there's you on top of the rocks. Right now you should see them.
That's a colorful one.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so we can.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few of these cucumbers just cruising around. They're pretty cool.
It's got all these white sponges as well. Some of the deeper scorpion fish.
One click close. No, the ISO's so on. We'll get out there. There we go.
Yeah, and we have that kind of younger lava as well, like the pillar lava that we saw in the deeper stuff, which is more broken up.
Mm. Oh, a bright star there. Wow.
Yeah, that looks like maybe Paula Horida. Yeah. The estrella, yeah.
That's one, that's good.
Puede ser Paula Horida. Oh, that's cool.
So we've got a short dive, so mostly video transect, but we might grab a sample here or there. So
That's great. Okay, so what we're keeping an eye out for as well are these commercial sea cucumbers, which are they're usually up on top of the rocks if we'd see them. They wouldn't be too hidden, but they'd be very different from anything else.
Right, okay.
You see the thing? They're kind of like it, kind of greeny.
Okay. We drove by Iris on my set as well. Roger.
These nice white sponges again. You seen that yellow sponge? What that? See that yellow sponge?
Y la varilla también.
So just have a zoom in on some of the sea stuff, like that one over there. That would be great. See, these look like there's a sea star called Fataria.
Yeah, absolutely. See what else? Over here. You want to see them further?
Oh, okay. Cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thanks. Ah, perfect, yeah.
Exact focus.
That's great. Lovely, thank you. That's cool.
It almost makes me think like a skinny leather star. We've got these in the North Pacific, but not quite this like skinny.
Yeah, we've not seen that coloration, and it's very similar. A couple of species that are quite similar, shallower. I don't think we see this one. Cool. Good. Great. Thank you. Great. Thanks. Some tunicates there as well. Okay, we've got a different sea cucumber up there, I think. Just gonna have a look at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On top there, yeah. See it, so it up. Oh, fast.
Let's zoom in a bit with this. Yep.
You zoom in, what I'll do is I'll fly in towards it.
Okay.
That way it'll save us the sort of balance on the rock here. Still, so you zoom right in there.
You can see some of the shimmer in the water there. We're must be right around a mixing area of different layers.
Okay, so again, this is not the commercial sea cucumber, but it's different from the other ones. Sorry. Just getting my Nintendo training kicking in. There is a thermocline down here, isn't there?
Yeah, you can really see that shimmer, hey?
Yeah.
We're at 14.8 centigrade right now, so. $15.1. It's gonna just jump around there, I assume.
Yeah, we're right at a lower thermocline.
Yeah.
Great. So these guys are really important. They help oxygenate the sediments and also kind of hoovering up a lot of all this organic stuff that other can become anoxic as well.
Mm. So yeah, we've seen a couple species so far, but we haven't seen the commercial species yet.
Sorry you saw that story.
That's okay, man.
That was a bit.
Okay, we can come back out again.
Left off. Ready to go?
Sorry. Another one? No, I didn't. Sí, lo ves de nuevo. Podemos ver.
Ese es el comercial, el continuo clemencia, el grupo, el que estamos viendo hasta la profundidad. Bonitos, son vivos.
So far we haven't seen the commercial sea cucumber. These are different species which we haven't had good records of yet.
Cool fish there.
Okay. So that's another scorpion fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pontius.
Big. Like Sebastes is the rockfish, but they're in this scorpion form, I believe, group. Rockfish is a tough one because it's just a common name for so many fish around the world.
Yeah, in fact, that particular scorpion fish is one of the most popularly fished commercial fish in deeper water.
Here in the Galapagos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
uh-huh.
So how much of a fishing industry is there for the Galapagos then? Because obviously people think like none, right? But there is fishing that goes on.
There is. I mean, one of the reasons why the islands are still the way they are is because one of the conditions in 1998 was to set aside up to 40 nautical miles all industrial fishing outside of the reserve. And what that meant was that within the reserve, it would be possible to develop well-managed, sustainable fisheries for local fishermen, which would help provide food security for the islands and also reduce a lot of the dependence to bring kind of food from outside of the islands, which has all sorts of other risks linked to introduced species that come with those cargo shipments
Sure.
and those types of food.
Yeah.
So there are several fisheries in Galapagos which are managed under a 5-year management plan by national park service with fishing sectors between the islands. It's been a kind of rocky road over the last 25 years, and it was one of the first places in the world where it was possible to try this idea of co-management, working together with fishers to be able to, and with the other sectors in Galapagos, the tourism sector and the naturalist guides and national park and science and education. And what we found was, in the first years, there's very few places in the world where sea cucumber fisheries, for example, have worked out, and the islands have been no exception. And there are other examples, things like lobster fisheries, which are kind of far more robust, and if they're well managed, then they actually kind of become part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 28,000 people living in the islands, and a lot of tourism coming through the islands as well. But the biggest difference was the exclusion of these big industrial fisheries outside of the reserve.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about 28,000 people living here. What was population looking like when the reserve was actually established?
So there were a lot fewer people. In the 1960s, there's maybe only about 3,000 people living in the islands, and as you could probably imagine, the volcanic islands, there's only fresh water on a few of the islands. Depend a lot on things being brought from outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very slow at the beginning in terms of colonizing the islands. It was only really in the last kind of 40 or 50 years that there was the beginning of kind of tourism and some of the earlier fisheries that attracted people from the mainland to become the kind of the first generations.
Yeah.
And so the islands, there's about 28,000 people now, and there was a period where the population was growing very, very quickly. And in 1998, the islands actually set up a special law, which is specifically looked at restricting immigration in order to be able to have a kind of to prevent, the problems that come with very kind of rapidly developing,
Sure.
kind of local population. And since then, most of the visitation in the islands is through boat charter.
Okay.
And then more recently, we've got an octopus.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we've got an octopus down here that's very well camouflaged.
It's tucked in there.
This might be Octopus califa, which is we're in slightly shallower depths at the moment. You see kind of this is kind of more common in the octopus, which we more commonly find up as in the shallower parts of the reserve.
I think it's quite suspicious that we see it, but not quite sure yet.
So the ability to assume textures is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. People are really familiar with the color changing, but the textures is super important and fascinating to me. I mean, there's the flaps that they can lift up, right? I mean, they can get them up high enough and loose enough that the currents will catch them. So I've seen them in algae where they raise it up and they just look like algae blowing in the current, So, yeah, they're fascinating.
And they're really important predators across the whole reef.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're back here now. So maybe we better start heading down that way again.
Yeah, sounds good.
You want to turn the back lasers on?
Yeah, please. I just didn't want to damage those.
Yeah. So there's a cucumber going right under the lasers.
Cucumber here,
Yeah.
just where the lasers are.
Yeah.
So this. Okay, so again, this is a sea cucumber that we haven't seen.
Still not the commercial one, though, I don't think.
Not the commercial one, no. No.
But that's fascinating, right? Like, just to see that variety of cucumbers right here. It's a good area for them.
And this is the kind of place that you might imagine to find the types of species that you wouldn't find in many other places. Because the cold water is like the upwelling is like a kind of it's like an upwelling bucket of cold water, which is really productive, but it's on the equator. So anything that kind of accidentally arrives here or is able to kind of establish here, it's the perfect conditions for species to be able to evolve as their own species.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole area has more endemism, more marine endemism, not just like the penguins and the Galapagos flightless cormorants that you have around the coast, but all the way underwater. And these are the first chances that we actually had to be able to see what's in that band just below where people can get by diving over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be possible to try to collect this?
I believe we can. Such as some, I imagine.
No,
Easiest?
I don't know how big that is. Because we could just pick this up and put it in the bio box.
It's suction salmon does work well with cucumbers.
Yeah. What? So we just ground it gently. I've not done this before with but we could try suction sampling.
That would be less damaging.
If they go through in the suction sample,
Yeah.
these are usually quite
Usually though.
robust.
There's not that much suction on it, to be honest. It's not
Okay. Or perhaps
not nice.
perhaps in the second bio box in the other beads.
Just want to sample this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give that a shot.
It might go through.
Hey Ben, just let me.
It might go through.
Okay, you're good. Anyway, I'll give him a shot so we can pick him up. Bio box 2, did you say? B.
B, yeah. BB2B.
Okay, Ben, zooming in. A little bit more. Just about there. There you go. Behind your back. A little bit more. Oh, there, yeah. One more. Tiny one. He's stuck on that with
Holding on, yeah.
It's hanging in there.
Yeah. It's probably got a mouthful on that rock.
Yeah, they do have their little tube feet. They're not quite as adhesive as like a sea star or an urchin, but they've still got them.
one more. Still got another one. Try and just peel him off gently.
Yeah, once he kind of pops off, then he should just float out.
Closer.
There he goes.
Yeah,
He's coming. He's coming. It's like what's happening? He's off. Get you.
there we go.
Nicely done. No.
Okay, I'm gonna come out real easy on the porch. Yeah, just clear your arm because you got this.
Oh, yeah.
Come all the way out. And the camera back.
Let me get some lower lights.
Bring in lowers. Lowers. Bring as much as dark. Okay, Biobox 2 is open. I'm gonna move the set.
All right, if you're just joining us, we are in the middle of collecting a sea cucumber here, but this is going to be a short dive today. I don't have an on-deck time for you. I can try and look that up in a little bit, but yeah, only a few hours, honestly, this dive, and pretty deep or pretty shallow today. and getting even shallower. We're at 216 meters right now. We're looking to get to about 100. So this area is still... Oh, sorry, I'm watching this sea cucumber
Can you close it?
collection. One moment.
I'm gonna open it.
There we go. So we were just discussing this area has quite a few different types of sea cucumbers that we've seen already, but not even the one that we're necessarily keeping our eye out for. There's a commercial sea cucumber fishery near Punta Mangle here, which there's one particular sea cucumber we're looking for. And haven't seen it yet, but we keep finding these fascinating sea cucumbers along the way. Just very much a different environment to any of the other dives that we've been doing for this expedition so far. So. Nice collection.
Alright, off we go.
Off we go. There's plenty of topography. I wonder if Dan does actually want any collections.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's really something in there.
No, there's an A and a B. There's something in A as well, but
Yeah, there was another cuke they already got. So I mean, worst case scenario, we got 2 cukes in there.
I'd work out which one's which.
Yeah, like right when we touched down, there was just a bunch of those white ones with the brown spots, and they just whoop, got one right off the bat. So, two cucumbers in.
yeah, good. Actually, it'd be nice.
Which way is it current?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it actually. It says around from head in the direction.
Which way is the current going?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Let's get rid of this dust. So it's flowing this way, so it's coming
Going down
so,
further.
yeah, off to south, basically.
Running down through the canal.
Okay, right.
the same one that we have in the buy box.
Yeah.
Sponge drones.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, maybe you haven't tuned in for any of the previous dives this expedition, our current expedition is exploring vertical reefs of the Galapagos. So the other dives this expedition, we've been more in vertical terrain, or at least very steep terrain, looking for corals that sort of encrust those vertical faces. It's difficult to map those with more traditional means, since mostly that's looking at these areas top down with sonars. So what we've been able to do with the remotely operated vehicle Sebastian for this expedition is actually to come down next to those vertical faces, and for some dives we've actually equipped Sebastian with mapping equipment, a multi-beam, or a multi-beam, and then a laser scanner as well. And so using those facing forward, we've actually been able to then scan these vertical faces as if we were looking top down at the ground, basically, and so get a much better idea of the terrain there. And with the laser scanner, we've actually been able to capture down at like millimeter resolution. So seeing polyps on corals, for example, is something that's possible with that laser. But this particular dive, we are shallower and in a flatter area. Again, this area is used, or is near an area used as a sea cucumber fishery. This is deeper than people would be diving typically, but we're kind of just looking around. And so far we've seen quite a few cucumbers, but not the commercial one yet. Every once in a while you'll see a leaf though, so we are near mangroves. So you'll occasionally just get a leaf that has sunk and made its way down here.
Have you had a chance to try them out?
To try to see never. I've had the chance, but I can't say something personally
Yeah.
that I would have on the menu. The commercial sea cucumbers, when they're taken out, they kind of boil and then they're dried. Not tremendously appetizing.
Sounds lovely.
No.
Nice fish hiding on the rocks there.
One of the other things we're kind of interested in is in this area in general in the west is where after the very strong El Nino events that we had in 1982, 1997, there are some species which we haven't seen since.
No.
And you could say they're critically endangered, it's potentially extinct, and amongst them there's, around Fernandina there was a black spot damselfish, Azurina, which is hasn't been seen since before the 1982 event. Used to be quite common across the whole of the archipelago.
And were there pressures on that particular fish already before the El Nino event, or?
Well, there was always some kind of fishing for bait fish, but not specifically for that. It seems that it was just those very strong kind of warm temperatures where it's normally very cool in the west.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're in a period of very strong warming, abnormal warming,
Yep.
with the El Nino advisory that we're under at the moment.
Bridge updated position.
Okay, Stu, you're on.
Okay. Okay, so we've seen a lot of the build-up of sediment around here, most of this organic probably from, so I think mentioned earlier in the stream, we're quite close to some very important mangrove bay areas, which are important nursery areas for a lot of species. But of course one of the other wonderful things about those areas is that they're amazingly productive, and there's a lot of organics which passes to the nearby kind of and deeper systems as well. So combined with all the phytoplankton in the water means there's always something at the bottom for a lot of detritivores, just eating all this organic matter down here. It makes it a very different system to many other parts of the reserve. We have a lot of current scouring and a lot of the organic food is filtered out of the water column. But this is one of those places where the production's as high as you'd find it in places like just off the coast of Peru or Chile, for example, or the Benguela system in Africa. Very abnormal to find on the equator in the tropics where we are now. There's this kind of pocket of kind of high production and cold, nutrient-rich water, which is especially important to providing the kind of unique circumstances that a lot of species can evolve and become their own species. And that's why we find more marine endemism a lot around this particular channel. About 25 years ago we started running surveys across the entire marine reserve as part of a combined effort with National Park. And literally hundreds of researchers have been involved in characterizing what we have in the reserve to be able to understand what we have, to be able to follow how it changes over time. And as a result of all that work, we were able to determine that different parts of the reserve, which are under different types of current influence from different currents, very different communities. Up in the far north in Wolf and Darwin, we have these amazing coral reefs with a lot of tropical species you don't find anywhere else in the archipelago. Whereas here in the west, just about 100 kilometers to the south, we have an amazingly different situation, which is dominated by these kind of very sedimented, very organic systems with huge phytoplankton blooms and macroalgae as you kind of move up. And in fact, some of the researchers on this boat as well, such as Salome Buglas, who's with us at the moment, have been working a lot on mesophotic deep kelp. We actually have endemic kelp here in the islands, which you wouldn't normally expect to find in the equator. In some of these kind of mesophotic areas where the sun is still kind of reaching down to the sea floor. Very unique system.
Question, Stuart. How do they harvest the sea cucumbers?
So most of the fishing in Galapagos is by hand. So fishermen, they use a system called hookah, which has a compressor which passes air by tubes. So you're always connected to hoses.
It's really manually harvested.
Yeah. So fishermen will have baskets underwater and they'll collect sea cucumbers. So unfortunately, the sea cucumber fishery hasn't really worked for the islands. It was a big kind of boom and bust fishery in the late 90s into early 2000s, and it's actually been subject to a closure for the last 10 years. And this is one of the first times that the fishery has been provisionally reopened to assess whether there was any recovery.
So it got basically overfished.
It was, yeah. And where we are now, this part of the channel is, if you would expect that there would be any recovery, then you would expect it to be, where there's the most production, where historically, there are always the highest numbers of sea cucumbers.
This is beyond diving depth.
This is a little bit higher. It's 200 meters, so it's quite a lot.
Diving depth would be around 30 meters at most.
Yeah, so most of what we've been able to do is only down to about 40 meters. We don't do much technical diving here in the islands just because of the decompression risk. And, most of the diving that we do has always kind of decompression built into it, so we never have any problems. There is a decompression chamber in the islands.
Are you for the cucumber fishermen? Are you educating them on diving now, or?
So
Parecía como que hay líneas, no sé si se ve, pero de hecho,
linears
pequeñas, como para pescar.
the pesca.
Oh, bueno, después podemos revisar en el video.
Sorry, Ben. So yes, the fishing. I mean, fishermen in general, they know better than anybody else in the reserve the conditions, and I mean, unfortunately, there are occasionally accidents with fishing in the past, just because of the temptation to kind of dive more frequently to get
Longer, deeper.
Exactly, yeah. The common story with many overexploited fisheries in different parts of the world. But since about 1998, when the marine reserve was established, then that was the beginning of a 5-year management plan, which was set up to try to evaluate and try to put kind of quotas in place. So there are actually indicators set up, which are always kind of being revised, and that's what they call adaptive management. Right? the case of the commercial sea cucumber, it seems that you just don't have enough of them together. They need to aggregate together to be able to reach kind of a critical mass to be able to reproduce effectively. And it seems that that's not happening once they get to a certain kind of low density. So one of the things that we're particularly interested in terms of conservation for the islands is it's not just kind of the interaction of any particular type of activity, for example fishing or tourism, but it's the interaction between climate and how we use coastal resources. And what we found is that particularly at times, for example, we're entering a strong El Nino period at the moment, which means that the surface temperatures of the water, even though this is the cold season, are a lot warmer than they'd normally be. And if that persists into the early part of next year, where we get a warm season, then you can get the kind of temperatures which can be quite serious for things like corals, which bleach, and there's a lot of other species which do quite well in those situations, and they're the species, invasive species, which can cause kind of longer term problems. So it's the interaction between how we manage fisheries at those times, how we manage things like visitation of different parts of the islands. You don't want to add additional stress to sea lion colonies, for example, or penguin colonies, or you need to sensibly kind of adjust quotas for sustainable fishing during times when they're going to be naturally stressed by drops in local production or temperature changes. And we're still kind of getting a handle on it. The last very strong events are almost like 25 years ago. We've had events that looked like they were going to be strong events, where warm water came over to this part of the Pacific, and the government agencies detect an El Nino based on indices that they calculate across the whole Pacific. Doesn't mean that that's necessarily what happens in Galapagos. So what we do is we start to look at trying to have indexes which are very specific to where we are, because of the very unique local dynamic that we have in the way currents work around the islands and the very kind of varied topography and bathymetry that we have. And they get worked into management plans with the National Park Service. So this kind of information is amazing for us. It's the first time that we're able to start adding this completely new dimension of hidden diversity below where we could get to with recreational or scientific diving to about 40 meters. And it adds a whole new dimension to the marine reserve, which is about 95%, 90% unmapped, but we've never been able to get eyes on until recently, thanks to these kinds of technologies and these kinds of expeditions. We've got some more rocks
Yeah,
going up on the right.
heading over that way.
Cool.
Something coming up. Just kind of speeding up over the sand. Not much to see.
It's quite surprising. We haven't seen very many batfish, which are usually quite common over sediment. Kind of tropical soles and other flatfish.
No, you just take some out. You're getting the thoughts. Very tight spot. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, they find it.
Okay, so Dan has a request to grab a lump of outcrop.
Roger. Okay. Which one would you like? I'll do it. I'm gonna sit down here.
Let's have a look, see if we can find something which
He likes. Does he want something more from the top side? Something, you know,
I think you prefer something with a break, right?
yeah. So
something off that ledge you got, like we're looking at. on the
something
side.
which looks like it's
Yeah, no worries.
sort of from the original formation.
Are you using the port army?
I can take over if anyone wants to
Is this one too far away from you, or do you want something else? So we stabilize.
Take a rock sample for that.
Freeze.
Have you guys eaten? I'm looking for
Cheers. Hey Ben.
what's my job?
What are you thinking?
Maybe something tucked under there, maybe. Yeah, where it's kind of like one of those
Yeah.
angled lumps.
Okay. So obviously we're heading up the way. Looking through like rocks and things. So you're reading There were wee rocks under there.
Sounds good.
They've got those jaws on there to do the blockage. I'll sharpen the blade.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
just about
Yeah.
and stuff, it's locked in. She's fairly stable.
Sounds good.
Still not quite well.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Right. Right? Yeah, that brings it. Right. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to get some of the stuff which is growing on it as well, which is good.
Strong. Face.
There's two animals here.
Alright.
And this is an RNA. It's two.
Oh, this one's very
Yeah.
Yeah. Pop that one off?
Yeah.
Is that one right for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Everything looks normal. Everything's normal.
It's working well. It's very shallow, 210 meters, 200 meters now.
Oh, there's one on there?
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen.
No,
I'm
See you, that's fine.
comfortable.
Look out for me. Wish I got clear schools.
Just look at your,
I don't like this claw.
we need to get you a different angle.
Oh no. Moving underneath some stuff. This one reminds me of the wall of Disney animation. I'm fully folded in the genetic this.
No, it looks too hard.
It's, yeah.
Oh, I'm stuck. Yeah, it's stuck on that. This is stupid. Definitely move that.
There you go. I see it fell.
That's a little bit in there.
You just dropped a big piece right in the mud. You can pick it up there.
You want to do anything with this a little bit?
Yeah, I think Dan might need a bit more
Alright.
substance to it. What he needs.
There's a big chunk that fell off there if you want that.
Okay. That might work.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me,
You have to
rack out on the sides here.
I keep that good.
Actually, I mean, have to fly down. I don't think you'll be able to reach out.
Can't reach out.
Just have to see. Yeah, see it. Actually, right there.
It's way down at the bottom there.
Yeah, okay. I'll pop down.
Okay.
There.
Very fine. Double down on that. So the piece right there, right?
Put it in front of you.
Make sure that hit anything. 2 seconds. Is this light now? Oh, there it is. Okay. Try to sneak in a little closer when you do too.
There we go.
I couldn't really realize it.
This is broke.
Are we able to break anything?
I broke this off.
Okay, that part is broken.
Yeah. This, yeah, I can't. I've never used this arm before, so it's chill. I don't want to get wrecked after you come off.
Oh, we have changed the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
How
think
about that little bit right there on the end? Is that okay?
yeah, the one underneath the bamboo, the whip coral there. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That is really stuck in there.
Fly away.
Hi.
Hey man.
Is it good? Yeah, sorry that it's so tough. I was gonna come down and provide some suggestions.
Yeah, it seems pretty.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Okay. Any of this stuff here, I mean, like that looks like it's fractured, and this looks like it's fractured. I think and you know, or any of these pieces down here would be okay. They're all from this flow. I appreciate you trying to get it off the wall, but I think this is like the nasty stuff on the north side of the platform. You know, or that plate down here, maybe, or this plate right below you, if that you can reach down there.
Do you want to just bump over and land in the sand with both things?
Okay, maybe let's do this piece right there.
Or is that attached to the rest of the world too? That's attached to the rest of the world too. Great. Oh no, it's not
No.
there. That piece there would be
Nice.
okay.
I want to use the other jaw to pick it up though.
Yeah.
Just because. Here's the fish on this jaw.
Is there a question of getting used to the
Yeah,
Fingers?
I've never used it
Oh, I
before,
see.
so it's a little funky.
You had a bite to eat then?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Do you want-
do you have lunch?
I haven't yet, but
What do you want me to do?
is
Just
it
keep
okay
going?
if you could, yeah,
Yes, yeah.
just after this, we're just going to slowly making our way up to the beginning
Yeah.
of that rise at the bottom.
Okay. Good spot.
Thanks.
Yeah, we've got people logging, right?
That one?
Yeah.
So we haven't put this into which firebox.
Yeah, that's fine. We're still trying to get it. See, I think in this case, the fingers on the port arm would be easier for you because they've got a wider grip.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's a question of trying to get one of the angular things into the slot of the upper finger so that you can, so it sort of lodges in there. Did you guys get a snap of this? Do you have a frame grab of that?
So, when I fell down the stairs.
And if you could spin it so that the wider space on the finger, yeah, there you go, like that, right? So that's on top,
Yeah.
and you can orient, and you can put that in that sort of V shape right there, and then the fingers go underneath there. Yeah.
Check that my shoulders did that. Yeah. So I have like.
Almost there. Yeah, just keep going down on it. Yep, and then clamp, and good.
Where do you want this?
I would put it in the forward port.
Lockbox
That's good.
one?
Yes, please. Good job, that's great.
I'm doing the snap.
So event 3, what did we say? Next rock is 47, right? So
Yeah.
event 3, rock 47.
I wanna bring it over to.
What is the event number?
Bring it over to this.
3, event 3.
With the
Event
understanding
three?
that
Event
whenever
3,
I
yes.
freeze it, I don't know what's gonna
Right,
happen to it.
and rock box
And it's going in rock box 1.
Yeah.
one.
Okay, so
Alright.
I cleaned a couple of the just to make sure I'm over it before I freeze. I don't know what's gonna happen when I do. I'm gonna have it here just in case it falls when I freeze.
If you want to put in rock box 3 because it's easier, we can do that.
Oh, that's fine. What, yes,
Well,
yes,
I
yes,
can-
yes,
I
fine.
mean, I can move it.
No,
to
no,
where
no,
you
no,
want
no,
it. It's
no,
just-
no, that's fine. Just dump
this
it there.
is
That's
for
good.
safety.
Yeah.
Whatever. Rock box through. So,
Rock box 3 works too.
yes,
Alright.
perfect.
Rock
Thank you.
box
Sorry.
three.
RB3.
Alright, you sure?
I'm
Yeah.
positive.
Okay.
Yes. Going once. Going twice.
Sponges, yeah.
Good.
Sold. All right. Thank you. That's great. Well done. This flow is likely to be a subaerial flow that actually maybe crossed the shoreline and came out. From which volcano, I don't know, but that's why we wanted to get a sample of it. Thank you. So now we're just continuing on the traverse.
I already did the sample.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
It's been miserable for a little while. Alright.
you want this zoomed in a little bit more, Kat?
Might as well.
Sorry, yes, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Start moving.
Assume, I don't know where it's pointing right now. Let's see.
The new waypoint bridge.
Delay all the
So we double down and actually put it. I can move them north if you like.
Yeah, no, we're good this way, I'm just gonna,
Okay, do that.
yeah, just change it a minute.
So, but these guys aren't the ones that are being fished, right? These are just whoever the regulars are. Or-
Correct, yeah.
The feel of the idea. Yeah, lowers the side.
Just one of those.
Little side light.
Have there been any samples this cruise, Dan, that have surprised you for rocks?
Surprised me for, well, the samples that we got on the dive yesterday on the Fernandina Northwest Rift were terrific. The lava crusts and the fact that we clearly had evidence of high effusion rate lavas producing low bay flows with those big collapses and whatnot. That was great. That was really surprising.
As long as we come up here, because I know the flights at some point they're gonna come up on the surface as we come up this.
Can we have the forward-looking sonar up?
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can.
Just let me out. That was
Or if you just overlay it on the screen. 50 meter out or
I
something.
mean, it might help to see where the lumps are going to be.
Oh, right here.
Couple little fish here and
I mean, it's clearly not just a sandy flat bottom.
No.
So
No.
that's interesting and surprising.
The bag, I think.
I don't think so. I think it's actually for something else, but maybe it's that.
It's a little bit of bag.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Not cable back there. For a hose.
Those are the feedback.
I'm thinking that's their coming back there.
What was the time that you had for event 3 in the log there, Andrea?
18:05:28.
This big, that big, it just swam away. I was like,
But that particular kind?
Yeah. Looks different, but it might just honestly have sediment on it.
Yeah. Let's keep going. I mean, I think we're meant to be seeing them more as we get
Yeah.
shallower. So.
I'm not sure that one was it, honestly. I think that might have just had silt on it.
Yeah, because the one I saw was kind of greenish. The one
Yeah.
next to it, so with like
What, the commercial
little
one?
spikes.
It's almost like an avocado look, but a
Yeah.
little lighter.
The
It's
commercial,
slightly more spiky.
the commercial ones? Or
Yeah.
these?
Yeah, the commercial ones. This is what we're looking for.
That spiky one?
That's pretty much any of the ones on here.
That looks
Yeah. No, that really if we want to find one. Whether Stuart wants a collection of one or not. I mean, commercial fishery, so we probably have a lot of them already, but I'm curious to see how many are down here.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, some of these flows have like relief of 5, almost 10 meters on them. I mean, we were just down to 198 meters,
Yeah.
and now we're at 188.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Thanks. But definitely looking after that.
That'd be soon.
Okay. I'm gonna pump the
Somewhere out there, yeah. Thank you. That's what's good.
No, we're split up to 3 feet more. That's right.
People say yellow or something. Close.
So lunch on the ship is coming to a close. For anyone who might just be joining us, you're catching us kind of in the middle, maybe towards the end, of a quite short dive, but also a very shallow dive. We started at like 200 meters, a little over 200 meters, and we're headed up to 100 meters basically. So, pretty shallow all around. I think 230 might have been where we touched down.
Lower down. Like what's the
There.
formation mechanism for these rocks?
Well, they're clearly pretty spiny, and that's why I'm suggesting they may be subaerially erupted and flowed down into the ocean. They may have lost a bunch of volatiles. They may be more alkalic because their flow surfaces are more like aha, rather than the pillow or lobate flows that we've been seeing. So they may be more silicic. And in which case, then rheology definitely does play a role in the forms that they're making, because they're sort of blocky and
They're very
craggy.
Yeah. And would they be more recent than what we've seen so far in the deep end, or can't tell?
I can't tell. I mean, the
Whoa.
I think the geochemistry, that's why I wanted to sample it, the geochemistry of this related to the flows that we see along the coastline on Isabella and Fernandina adjacent is they have sampled those, and so they have good geochemistry data.
Okay.
They're not all the same, so we might be able to tell. when it erupted, or at least how it relates to the shore-based flows, or the land-based flows.
Do you do anything land-based, or only when it goes underwater?
No, I haven't here. Dennis has, Denny Geis and Karen Hart have done a lot of work on many of the islands in the Galapagos, and their students have, for sure, and Darren Schwartz, who was out with us, did part of his thesis on Galapagos. Much of it subaerial, but also he also had a submarine suite, a subaerial suite of lavas on Santiago.
Okay.
Because we did a bunch of the work with the Alucia on the seamounts between Santa Cruz and Santiago.
Oh, there's a little guy.
Lots of sponges. Oh, look at that fish!
Yeah.
Oh, that's starting to look like the
angelfish, yeah.
what you're thinking of the
Butter-
tropical
butter-
reef.
An aquarium fish.
Yeah.
Butterfly fish,
Butterfly fish.
shallow water species.
That's cool.
Can I zoom on them?
Don't see that on my deep sea dives usually.
I mean, that being said, we've seen some nice colors on some of the deeper stuff.
Yeah, well, what was those pink, the pink fish, roses?
All right, I think we're done.
Kicking him
Alright,
left and
let's
right.
keep going.
He's gone.
There you go. Go to.
Did not want to be a movie star.
We're up
Are you
another
taking a
degree.
ramp out of the wire? Or?
Me?
Yeah.
I just turned it
Oh,
so you give you a view.
I see. Okay, sorry.
I'm lateraling
Yeah,
this
yeah.
way.
Oh, I see.
Nice.
Yeah.
We are behind. I'm asked to increase the speed of the airplane.
So we want
Some more leaves here from the nearby mangroves.
Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally just find a little leaf.
Something leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some red algae in there as well in some spots.
want to say either Chill or Zach were like, oh right, that thing.
It's definitely on the north side. Looks like it's in the front of. Yeah, outboard of the thing. You can see. I thought about this feet is pretty big. It might have
Dan is out of the room again, but I saw a question asking about surprises. I'd asked something similar earlier, and more than any of the rocks we've collected, he was more surprised by the terrain we had the other day, where there were just these large holes cracked through, these little skylights into the subsurface there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the holes. Yeah, it's cool.
Later on in the palette, pictures. They were like long, not terribly deep, but still
Stark.
so it's a little bit
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Too small for me to fly into, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, anytime we have like a Stark fissure, it's pretty cool.
Stuart. Ese pepino cuál es?
Estamos buscando, podemos encontrar algo muy visto, lo más que una especie de mediterráneo. Es como cultura.
There was different places there.
One of these levels,
To get this, you
And then Calapuni.
measure big enough to actually get inside. And so when you first in, but like you have walls on either side, it was pretty awesome. I wanted to explore there, they're like, no, maybe, stop looking like the one.
Yeah.
Come on, give me 20 minutes.
Be somewhere else. Yeah. All right, so we're getting up to 180 meters.
Okay, so this must be the rise.
What I'll do is I'll follow it around like this, and we'll get back on track there.
Okay, yeah, great. Kind of cut along the edge.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see this ledge that we've got that we're skirting along the edge, and we're ultimately headed up towards the yellow, which will be up at about 100 meters.
more dendrophilia to the right there.
How shallow do they go?
See them up this side. Usually they're not this shallow, but because the water's so much cooler here than it is in a lot of other parts of the islands, maybe they go up further up.
I haven't seen many.
Yeah.
Bridge, ROD. Okay, now I get you to speed up just a little bit.
Copy that.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so
Coming
back
to you.
to the southwest a little bit. Something you don't hear every day. Not a wallflower or something.
There's a fish cruising.
Yeah, that's locally they call them camatillos, oceanic whitefishes.
Huh.
Are they fish?
Yeah, they're you find them in the fish market quite often.
Okay.
What depth would yellow?
What depth do you
I think 100. Yeah. We're actually coming up to quite a steep chunk when we do get to that. It looks like here it's about 135, and the base of it's about 170.
Roger. So some places in the west we see some butterfly fish that you don't find in other parts of the archipelago, which like cooler water. The side butterfly fish is one of those that you rarely see in some of these upwelling areas. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Stick the oar.
Lee Bridge.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, mate, next time we stop, I'm just going to adjust my head a little bit.
just a bit of a change of current wind speed up here, so ideally I will be bringing the heading round to starboard and pointing in a south-westerly direction, which is around 230-ish. So I don't know if you want me to stop a little bit earlier, so that when I adjust, I'm still behind you there.
If you can do it while you're continuing on the direction we're going, then you can start whenever you like. I'll bring it south a little bit.
Okay, mate, sounds good.
All right.
So we're just at the base of the
They're way,
horizon.
yeah, it's away from south.
What we'll do, I'll turn around and we'll get last one. Just skirt this edge of this, just to give you a view, otherwise we're down in the sand, and then we'll skirt around. And
Perfect, yeah.
That's great.
Unless-
It looks like it'd be quite sharp up this bit.
Unless this, are you set on this weight when I can adjust it? Over here too, or whatever.
I don't think it makes too much difference whatever makes more sense.
Yeah,
for you
so
guys.
it was like 135, and then the end
Yeah.
is like 100 or something. Or
I mean, it's better to get the best
Yeah.
footage
yeah,
possible.
and then up
so
there's
if we're
like 100.
Yeah,
on
that's,
the slope,
that's what I'm
it's
hunting
better.
this,
Yeah.
this ridge here.
Yeah, no,
I'm still keeping an eye out.
What we'll do is
No, we just
we'll
mix
we'll
up.
come around and we'll climb up this.
Although you're pretty
this
far
will be quite
ahead
an
now.
incline, This
Yeah.
big yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'll do is this.
So do you think the cucumbers would be on the other, on the yellow, on
230, so
the
I'm
shallower
bringing it down.
portion? 'Cause I don't think we've
This
seen it.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'll put
Yeah, I
probably
think
set
so.
them
They're
up a
gonna be-
little bit like down here.
Change
you know,
it.
again, it's,
Yeah.
I want to bring down this.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's good.
What the bottom of it is.
That's fine. That puts us right, but that's actually better for us.
They're the kind of species that when they were doing well before there were big fisheries, they were everywhere. You would see dozens on one transect.
Don't see that anymore. Do they know anything about the reproductive
It's like a
cycle?
wall.
Yeah, quite a lot. It is good to see a lot of these scorpion fish.
Which ones are those?
Scorpion fish.
Oh, just the
larger.
the red,
larger
rockfish.
So we're coming up to a pretty steep wall here. Will be interesting.
So eventually it's going to be this.
Perfect lined up if we go up that kind of the same heading as the green room there.
to yourself.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna go straight now, so if he turns
Okay.
and he'll just be right behind us. He's at 230 or?
And he's going to 230.
Yeah.
He's at 150 right now. So eventually his bow's going to be right down here. He's like this. Yeah. That's why I was going to try to get him down here, so he's like this. And you're right there.
I figured at the same time I'll just go in. I'll just kind of maneuver this way, then this one. Let her set the lines a little bit. I was gonna go right around, but I want to get we go up to the walls 40 hours?
Right around, yeah. It's like 175 at the bottom and 135 at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
According to the water mouse.
Looking at that map, it's pretty
It's impressive. Yeah, the slope is impressive.
and then super flat.
Looking for first
We're gonna get up there
cover of
just a
the
little
right
bit.
species. These burrows, are those
We are
ones?
headed towards.
The burrows?
We are headed towards land with this, as we go up slope, so I can show you the view off of our starboard side.
Some of them, others might be politics. They make tubes like that, so.
What is it?
Politics. Yeah, so they're looking at all on one side and come out on another.
You get a lot of tube liquids which kind of ramify the sediment. There's some salmacina, they're very fragile. They're this amazing kind of huge white colonies. So it's like they're adding this kind of orange, very kind of bushy.
Oh, I think it's birds.
The moment you get close, just cross your hand and it looks
Lots of big ones.
It becomes kind of like the white tubes, just these huge kind of blankets. And they build up. And you see like huge chunks of it just because of their weight just fall off.
Oh, that's a cool fish there.
That's the batfish.
Yeah, little batfish. Cruising.
How deep are those tubes? The 12 feet?
So some of them, they form kind of matrices just in the surface.
Uh-huh.
The other ones I mentioned, the salmacina, they're kind of just encrusting on rocks.
Fish is weird.
Yeah, it's fun.
Frogfish?
Batfish?
Stuart?
That was a batfish. That was a red-lip batfish.
Oh.
Yes, I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Intelligent reference.
Hey Chris, that's me finished my time for now, thanks for that.
Today, you comfortable with the currents?
Yeah, it should be fine, there's not too much current, but the wind's picked up to like a kind of force 4 to force 5, so we're pretty much pointing into the wind, split the difference with the current, so we should be all good now until we recover it.
Roger that.
Are these the mangroves over here, Stuart? I don't know.
That's right, yeah, that'd be just a little bit to the south of where we are.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at then. Okay. So yeah, we had a question about the mangroves. We are near some. We were looking at a little rocky chunk earlier, but you can see some vegetative growth out there.
So interesting thing about these mangroves is that between this part of the canal and the other side is home to one of the rarest birds in the world, which is the mangrove finch. One of Darwin's finch species, but the most endangered across the archipelago. So they're the last breeding colonies, and they actually live up in these mangroves that can be maybe 15, 20 foot high spans.
And are they endangered because the mangroves have been slowly disappearing, or just other?
It's because, it seems to be that they have more problems from rats and endangered and feral cats, which have made their way into these parts for like the last 200 years. And it's amazing just how they, things like rats and cats can survive far from places like where we are a long way away from any populated part of the island at the moment. But the other problem is that there's a parasitic fly called Phyllodes, which is affecting a lot of the birds in Galapagos and actually affects the chicks in their nest. So the particle working, there's a whole program set up at the moment trying to look at biocontrol to find ways to be able to prevent this fly from attacking the juveniles in the nest.
Is it almost like a bot fly where it's getting into the birds, or?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
They've actually found there's a parasitic wasp in the mainland, which actually affects the fly itself.
Okay.
So people are going looking at controls which might work at the moment. It's a very long process.
Yeah. Tracking down a parasite for the parasite.
And then making sure that parasite is not going to screw up more than.
Exactly.
Because wasn't it cane toads? Was it this one that was introduced for as a parasite
Here
control?
comes more of a problem.
Yeah.
Than the original parasite.
No here.
But the mangroves are just really important for their shark nurseries as well. You have very kind of strange microclimates that are set up in the tide pools. So all this cold water which is upwelling around the surface from the nutrients. But at the same time, these tide pools, they superheat in the sun. So you get very kind of warm areas where you can find corals you normally wouldn't find in that cold water. And different kind of patches around that same coastal environment.
What was weird though, when you this one, we still have it, and then the stuff, but this was pretty cool. Yeah.
Right. It's like a wall, it just really, really steep slope.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man.
Yikes. That's steep.
Yeah, weird. Vertical sound, you can slide it behind you.
I'll be right back.
fishing in this area.
What is the inclination? What are we looking at a wall like this?
I think it's like that. Not very steep, but not a wall.
Let's see the altitude of 62 and 63 meters.
I'm not their DVL is off, so the altitude is
There's a rock for you.
really working.
Absolute page for the day. Fun. That's right. You're like, yeah, I'm there. You cleared it.
So yeah, public land.
How much construction are facing on that camera?
That's straight out of that.
No, it's not straight. It's a little towards bow.
Yeah, anyway, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping an eye.
Correct. So there's not one that we have like the upper end is like the bottom end.
Some of this stuff looks like it's almost been buried.
Yeah. Tuck on in there.
Right. How could we sit?
Oh. Another batfish.
It looks like it's walking.
Have y'all ever run like a small beach on the last float?
No.
Oh, this is very large. Yeah. Yeah, but with a lot of your fires, you put a beacon on and go somewhere.
Sure.
You put a red rubber floats. And use pump weight.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Paulina horrida. Paula horrida starfish.
A lot of these little red-lipped batfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
They are fascinating.
Yeah. They just look so weird. You get close, you see them kind of like slurping up bits of plankton as well.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the red reefs.
It's not like that.
See, you can't tell me that shouldn't be the frogfish, and frogfish should be something else.
Yeah, this is very
It kind of looks like like a chicken for the budget.
On the splatter section, are we able to increase speed to 0.3?
Yep.
Thanks.
Lots of batfish all of a sudden.
Johnny, we're gonna speed up across this flat section a little bit, so you know.
Copy that. We're
Here's
doing
flat.
0.4 at the
Look for
moment.
some
If
sea
you
cucumbers.
pump it up, just let me know.
Right, thank you.
Lots of bad fish. Just looking at the bad.
What are those funny fish?
Bad fish.
Red lip.
Bat.
Bat. Red lip. Is it from this? Oh, I see red. Red lip
Bat.
fish.
There are none so far.
Something for the regenerative power of the channel.
I'm still looking for you.
So they shouldn't really have much of a change for the next little bit to stay at the length of the top.
See if I can tell. Yeah, the umbilical's off this way.
You just keep going on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try and go just a little faster so we can not be too late.
When did you have us ending this day?
Huh?
When did you have us ending this day?
1:30 on deck.
No.
Hmm,
So we're going a little longer.
we're a little late.
No, let's say we're really shallow, but
Yeah, that's it. There's going to be no ascent time at all. It's just going to go recovery.
First one.
And dive with his flat back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was. I didn't.
Well, I'm gonna have to log off bottom and floats on surface like at the same exact time, basically.
Might be floats on surface before off bottom.
No, I can't break that order.
Way before.
Yeah.
We're gonna the closest thing on surface.
Oh, I know. We just had this discussion.
It's going to be a sampling dive off southwest corner of Fernandina, so something similar to the upper portion of this early morning's dive.
There's a cool fish.
Corals,
It's a
so-
little different guy.
What time's that at?
Probably not 8 o'clock,
Oh yeah.
maybe
You just
7
think about
o'clock.
your beach.
Tonight.
How about
It's already at my
It's gonna be 3 hours to get to the site, and then we might want to do a tiny other hour of to extend, and then a CTD, and then diving.
Is that when that's still in this channel? Then that's pretty shallow as well.
It's just outside the channel, really. It's around the corner from the channel. It's on the southwest corner of the island.
Yeah, so yeah, we're back out.
What's the depth there?
For the dive,
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna just target the 500 to 300 section of a quick dive.
Will we napping tomorrow?
No, not yet. unless we find something amazing, and then maybe we'll
Look at this here.
map the next day.
What's this?
Oh, skate!
Welcome map.
Oh, it is a skate, yeah. He's like backed into this little
Yeah.
ledge.
What's behind it?
Oh, the little red-lipped batfish. Yeah, they're cool. Wants to get across. Yeah, they've got the clips.
Okay, I think we can keep going.
What's your plan? You're checking if you might renew.
Sorry, yeah, we'll probably, I'm hoping we can come off by 1:30, beyond like more like 2.
And then we're still trying to do 2 dives here, or we're gonna go somewhere else?
No, we're gonna go somewhere else. So we got some mapping. We're going. We got,
Shipboard map.
yeah, 3 or 4 hours of mapping CTD, which is minute the next day.
So 3 or 4 hours probably total wait time. We should be ready from what we're coming to.
From when you come out of here. Perfect. We got stuff in between. So. Perfect.
2 would be off, so
Yeah, that's
6
a wish.
diving around 6.
I have it after dinner.
One of the spots on that.
Two concentric rings.
Sorry.
Oh, that's crazy characteristic.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Do you see the rain? The rain?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yes. We just
I
passed
wonder which
that.
species it is.
I don't know.
Have you seen that so deep before?
I've seen it a lot shallower actually.
Yeah, me too.
In
Never
Bahia
saw it.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, yeah.
What
I've
species
seen
is
too.
it?
Similar, I don't know if
I
it's the
can't
same.
remember the species we have it registered, but I only seen it once in 20 years.
Oh, right.
How deep is the rain you are talking about?
I feel like we saw another
Well, I
one
saw that
similar
about
to
30
this.
meters,
30?
but it was very cold and it was very unusual.
I would like to see the whole thing so we could know for sure what it is.
Really cool ones, the torpedo race.
Oh, yeah, we've seen a couple of those. Those are fascinating.
One of my friends got sacked by one once.
Really?
Bad? Yeah, you can. It's enough to not do it again.
Is it Manta or?
It was like
We
rain.
were looking it up the
was
other
scary.
day, like torpedo, right?
Rain.
Torpedo.
I don't know why, but you think like, oh, the fish is named after
Like the rain.
the naval implement, but it's the other way around. The fish was actually named first. And then,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then
Torpedo.
the weapons came about and they became torpedoes. So.
That's actually. That, the other one is a Rhino.
Yeah, I think they give up like 40 volts or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
That's roughly stuff. No.
It's a pretty
Great eye for rocks.
If you like sea cucumbers, this has been the dive for you. There are definitely a lot.
Except the species we're looking
Except for the one species that we've been looking for. But we're not to the top yet. We're at 130. We've got another 30 meters to go up and quite a few meters to go forward. So
You're on audio only, so.
you don't like the.
I mean, I like it, but I'm saying
Yeah.
it's not very effective for your audience.
No, I speak with my hands a lot, so not great for a audio medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another of the scythe butterfly fish.
How shallow do you see the? I have seen that fish. Yeah.
You can see it rarely in cold.
No, I'm a big fan of sea cucumbers. I like them a lot.
20 meters. It's not very common. You also see that there's a 3-bar butterfly fish as well. Come from cold.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those butterfly fish now.
saw that sound on the thing.
The what?
You can sound now.
That's a description of shabby lava.
No, it wasn't. That was definitely not in the 50s.
No, it was.
There we go. Lots of fish here.
We got 175.
Yeah, we've sampled two. One was quite spiky, and then I think we grabbed a sample of these white with brown spotted ones that we've seen. But we've been keeping our eyes peeled for a commercially fished sea cucumber in the area. Just haven't spotted it yet. And then we had spotted a third species, but we didn't sample that one.
Commercially fished, is that for consumption?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it might be wonderful if it did. You remember when Dan's got something? Which box?
What's the question?
When Dan's got something.
It went on top of the, or went into the nets.
Yeah,
Rock box 3, I think.
Yeah. Alright, so whatever that is, that's a little bit more at this step. It's still a little bit. Whatever that is a little bit more at this step, but it's still going to be an issue. Yeah, well, it's going to get more dangerous.
The only thing I think of is it's unless it comes on one.
Yeah, it's on cable or it goes.
Yeah, the harvesting, as explained to me, it's done by divers with surface supplied air.
I was like, oh, that's
All makes sense now. I tend to agree with melting.
It's one of the few critters up near me that I haven't had. I'd give it a shot.
Sonar there, you see it's overlaid. I mean, there's a couple of little ones here.
Had an armored sea robin down there just a moment ago, it looked like. Maybe just a sea robin. Didn't catch a good eye at it, but I saw it walking for a second. No, another butterfly fish. I think that's our third one, maybe.
I think you're on it. There was something I saw with that butterfly yesterday. I think it was a rock formation. If I was to do hard sciences, I think I'd definitely be a geologist.
Yeah.
Or a biologist. Or a chemist.
Quite a few of them here.
Or a physicist. Or a smart.
That's a cuke.
He said he's had a long day. He's like, I need to sleep this off. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been there, buddy.
There's only so much sediment you can.
The sediment always makes them so sleepy.
Yeah, do some sand for the rest of it.
Okay, like juvenile oceanic whitefish there as well. So most of the channel where we are, there's a lot of different sharks which use the channel. Some of them are going to other places. I mean, we even get things like whale sharks come up through the channel in Canal Simón Bolívar. But most of the sharks you actually find near the coast are horn sharks. They're very kind of small sharks. They usually stay very close to the reef and eat a lot of the small invertebrates around the reef. You will see Galapagos sharks and sometimes some of the bigger, just because the islands are right kind of exposed to the Pacific, you get sometimes thresher sharks and some other sharks that are kind of more oceanic come past the outside of the islands.
And you said oceanic, but they occasionally come by here. Is it again this just confluence of currents really that seems to bring them all here? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them consider oceanic species as kind of, there are areas which some sharks seem to kind of aggregate, or they use as navigational markers as well. Particularly things like whale sharks, it looks like a lot of the underwater corridors, they seem to follow underwater corridors and mountain chains. And some people believe or are looking to see whether there's things like kind of magnetic fields associated in deposits in the underwater chains that help guide them. Others, there's deep foraging, things like hammerhead sharks. We have a lot of scalloped hammerhead schools in the archipelago, and you occasionally see them, they have different behaviors depending on what they're doing. You see them basking in the sun sometimes, kind of in the surface of the water.
Yeah.
Where they just be kind of, get some large kind of individuals on their own. Other times, places like up in the north, you see them.
Oh, big fish.
Just schooling around pinnacles. So these are camatillos. These are. This is another kind of popular. This is a fish which you find in the fish market in town. They like cold water as well. These kinds of kind of deep overhangs.
Besides hammerheads, what other large shark is common?
What we do, Galapagos sharks can get to a reasonable size. We also have tiger sharks that are in some parts there, in the northern part of Santa Cruz and around some of those islands up in the north as well. You get oceanic white-tip sharks as well in open water, and silky sharks. They're quite common.
Salamanders are 6 or 7 days. Salamanders are 6 good, 7 good.
Oh, okay. No, the only sharks I've really interacted with, saw some nurse sharks on dives, like scuba dives, and then I've helped out with some sleeper shark research. So bringing those up and tagging them and that sort of thing. But I'd love to see a hammerhead while we're here.
I saw some hammerheads when I was working in the Gulf of Mexico years and years ago. Just seen in Africa. Adam was piloting and I was co-piloting whenever we came on shark.
Oh yeah.
Saw him in the sonar first. We're like, oh, that's something weird. Didn't think anything of it as we were descending.
Did you get them on like this, or did you get them on
He
blue
came like
view?
this, right in front of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We chased him for a second because he was obviously bored of us and just took off.
Yeah, he was so fast and massive.
It's pretty cool. There are a lot of sharks going in Australia. Just Google this out. There's just one everywhere and they're very good. Descent.
Yeah.
That's
What was the name of that larger fish that we just saw, Stuart?
So in Spanish they call it camatillo, which is, if I get it right, Camottillo. That's the Spanish kind of local name for it.
Okay.
Check the Spanish, the Latin name.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I've seen a couple of these big ones. We saw them a ways back though.
Yeah, the genus is Paralabrax.
it's just one mound.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different in the sonar than it is in the map.
Mm-hmm. There it is. Oh wow.
It's just that.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. Yeah.
What would you say the most popular fish here is for folks catching and eating? You said it was the scorpion fish, maybe?
So, there's a large grouper there at the back. One of there's a couple actually. I mean, the scorpion fish that we've been seeing here, that's, a lot of people like that for things like ceviche.
Sure.
But there's also an endemic grouper. These guys, which we're actually seeing here, these camatillos, which are just on the right here, and these are scorpion fish here. They're quite popular. There's also an endemic, or an insular endemic sailfin grouper called Mictila perca olfax, and that's actually traditionally used where it's cooked and dried as finesco in Lent in South America. So a lot of so when they're caught, some of these are kind of exported out to the mainland. That's quite a group of scorpion fish there.
Yeah.
They get larger?
Yeah, they do get bigger. These look like it might be kind of a nursery area.
if you're just joining us, this is towards the end of this dive. It's been a very shallow, very short dive. We've still got a little ways to go, but we are making our way across this flat top. Let me pull up a map for you. So we are making our way across this flat top here. We've got a little more rise to go, and we're hoping to end up around here, which
How are we doing?
is about 100 meters. 100 meters shallow.
Yeah, we're for
Yeah.
3, for 4, these were stretched right out. I had about
Yeah, if I can get off the ship.
He's moving at a good pace too.
Stuart, do you need to go all the way to the top, or do you think that the sea cucumbers could be on that slope, or?
I think we're probably good, perhaps, just moving. I don't think we need to go all the way. The next rise is going to be up to 100, but I don't know how long it takes to get up to the edge. We're here, okay. Yeah, I mean, this bit here, that's kind of topping up about 100, and then it just runs in, doesn't it?
Like 300 meters.
About 200 or so from
Mm.
that.
We're going like 2.5.
Yeah, it'd be on the way to get there. What do you think?
You just need to head up a bit earlier.
We're looking to get up to like 100 meters from the surface, but we might call it a little earlier than that. We're going to see. We're running a bit behind schedule with this dive. It was always intended to be a pretty short dive, but we are hoping to get back in later this evening at a different site. Whoa. Oh yeah, eel sticking its head out. Let the ship catch up.
Yeah, just stretch right up.
Can I get the lasers off if we're just going to park here for a sec?
Sure.
Thank you.
So aggressive.
Aw, don't pick on the eels, Chris.
I was joking.
I know. They got enough problems. That's a good looking eel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couch statement.
That's almost like a eel.
This is,
What is that?
I don't like this thing. It's so aggressive. Yeah, there was like a little, you can see like little legs of a shrimp down there.
Could we take a look at the web? Yeah, take care.
You mean the little, you mean these guys, sorry? No, sorry.
Whoa.
That's as much magnification as we've got.
What a good looking eel.
Nope, then it's a very modest
Maybe
retreat.
not a good idea.
And show's over.
Bye. Oh.
Please speaking again.
It's very
Oh, there's a cool crab over here. I remember that little
okay,
edge there.
narrow crab, yeah.
Yeah, arrow crab.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It looks like there's not much in the sediment until you actually zoom in, and then you see all this stuff around.
It's one of my favorite things. Yeah, we had to pause and do these probe measurements where we had to actually sit on the bottom, and the pilots like just had to sit still while we had this probe in the ground. But you would just zoom in on what looked like sediment, like just dirt. But there's so much there, right?
See that with the walls as well.
With the walls.
Yeah, like you just flying up a wall and it looks like
Okay, so these guys that we got over here.
and you press up against it, zoom in, it's just like everywhere.
Yeah. That's it. You just take the time and look at stuff, and there's a lot there.
Can we zoom in a little bit?
That was like a more eel.
Yeah, it was a good eel, huh?
Yeah.
So okay.
Here we got some little divots.
What are you guys doing?
Fish divots.
We're getting there.
So you only have one deviation at the base of it. So
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see what's on that rise there. I think we're good.
perfect, depending on, well, I guess we're under a time crunch, right? We're not planning on deploying the camera.
I think we're all done with Lisbon.
Oh, just the power cable to the camera there?
Yeah.
So not the cables, just that?
No, just the one single one. I don't know, right? Right, that's what I was saying. Trying to get to that wall.
Yep.
How to do me a favor? On this lower comment screen there, would you be able to put the docking head camera?
Yeah, I gotcha.
See anything?
If I can remember.
Straight and away from us.
That's my definition. Otherwise, I can do it up like that. Like that. Yeah, the green laser dots in the middle are scale lasers. So as we're doing these transects, both for while we're actually watching it, but also if scientists are reviewing the footage, they want to know, how wide is the area being seen on the screen, so how wide is the transit, but also, we'll use it to measure organisms or rock samples. Those two laser dots are 10 centimeters apart, or roughly 4 inches if you're working in inches, but 10 centimeters, nice and clean. Yeah, if you're working with metric, it's nice and clean. It's just 10 centimeters between those two laser dots. And so whenever we're doing these video transects, we tend to have them on. If we stop and look at something, sometimes I'll turn them off just to get a nice clean image. But the scientists like to know the size of the things that they're looking at, so they are helpful. Nice.
I've only seen these once in 25 years.
Oh, these ones?
Yeah.
We saw one earlier too, so we've seen two now.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So they look like they're more common, deeper. Wow, that's really
If you can get a crazy zoom on the eye, they have the best pupils. I love skate pupils.
Look. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Oh, he's on the move.
Whoop, there he goes. Glad we got to see that that pupil.
He's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just don't want to be by you.
Yeah, I'm not leaving. I'm just moving further away.
I'm just turning my back on you.
Yeah, that little fan structure on their pupil, I've seen it like kind of flex to change light, it seems like. Yeah, they're a real neat little structure.
It's a
Shell.
the mollusk, yeah. So you're never quite sure whether they've still got something living in them or whether they've been taken over by hermit crabs.
Okay.
Cool. Could we just stick the laser pointers on again?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, the pupils, there's some studies that go on with them because obviously they're quite odd compared to most animals that we see. I don't know that there's an agreed upon thing. Maybe there is, but I have seen, I think there's been some proposed ideas that like by covering a lot of the eye with that tissue, it's not as obviously an eye, because a lot of times the skates will bury themselves and those eyes will be up. And so if they have a little bit of those little fans over them, so they don't just look like an eye sticking up from the bottom. But I don't know if there's real support for that or not. I've just seen that posited.
Solamente las observaciones biológicas, Carlos venía para hacer sus observaciones. Ya, dale.
Is that it? That's just a rock. Although it could have been a special.
Yeah, although you said
you never
that.
know until you see it.
Yeah, just a rock. And I know Dan's hockle's just like raised up somewhere. You know, he's like, I don't know why. No, we're getting to that area, right, where there's been a lot of critters where like you start getting suspicious. You're like, is it a rock? Is it the sediment? Or is something there that's pretending to be the rock or sediment? We've seen a lot of the skates. I mean, we've seen 2 of these here, but on the other dives we've been seeing various skates. We've seen the torpedo rays,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Namesake of the weapon.
Namesake of the weapon, as we said. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The various sharks, cat sharks, rough sharks,
Squid head fish.
squid head fish. What is that?
I don't know, it looks like a squid head on fish. Do you remember when the original glass? This is us.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm gonna come up here if you wanted to sit down there, but maybe just keep an eye if he sees up somewhere else. Just 'cause we're gonna be, it should be popping up here in a little bit. I'll get closer there for you.
Okay.
Just hold it in a second.
So yeah, with us getting as shallow as we are, we won't really be streaming an ascent today, because it's pretty much immediately just going to kick into recovery. So
As close as we are, we may even get Galapagos penguin on the way up.
oh, there you go. Yeah, I'll probably leave. I'll probably do my sign off and then just leave the camera. But yeah, we're real close.
Oh, no,
I haven't seen any sea lions today. I mean, I'm sure they're around, but when we're diving deeper and so the ship is moving less, that's when we've been seeing them. Right now the ship is having a cruise because we're constantly moving. And they seem to like to show up at night when the lights from the A-frame of the ROV might be drawing in some prey.
He's not responding.
What's the white, the yellow fish again?
Camatillo, yeah. The big one at the back, that one up there. Yeah, it's endemic. Yeah, it's
So
happy
that means
lemurs.
only here.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's just see this question from too much.
Oh, there's the first cuke in a while we've seen, I feel like.
Okay, that's yeah. It's the same one as what we saw down below, isn't it? These sea cucumbers. It's the same as what we saw before. That's not the kook we're looking for.
Yeah, a couple of them. You're right. Yeah, sediment's being a problem.
That's probably good there.
Yeah.
What's that, 160, so it's just underwater. So
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye for him.
That has a high spot to be in. Oh.
maybe that's that.
So almost up to 100 meters. $114 currently.
Hey guys, you want me to stop at this waypoint? I'll keep going.
Yeah, no, we'll stop you right there. We're getting pretty close to the wall here.
Maybe just a touch more, just a touch more. I'll keep crawling forward here. Just
Alright,
don't bump
we'll bump you a little bit more, but not a whole lot.
Bump it up.
Cheers. I'm still down 122, so we're all switched out. So I'll look vertical for a second. Draggy.
Yeah.
Staircase.
Yeah, just up and down.
Yeah.
Mind if I just zoom in a little bit here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Down here too.
You like stuff blowing you out.
So yeah, he's coming closer. So
Yeah, come a little closer to you, but not a whole lot. Yeah, trying to focus through those.
yeah, I see.
It's pretty dark. You'd have more light. Sounds pretty soon.
They bring him a little closer.
Let's see if it's about 100. about 80, 100 now. The rock. It's kind of rocky beach. It's smooth and yellow.
Yeah, pink, the coralline algae.
You'll get it back out there.
We've got pilots getting organized for recovery. So you hear a little commotion in the background.
We're almost there. What are you at here? 112, 110. Also, like as soon as you pop up, yeah.
Give us a second to throw our yellow shirts on.
Yeah, I'll just keep going a little bit here.
Should we stop in there?
Let them come towards that. I'm at 123. That's something to look at until they're in position.
We're good there.
Yeah, we'll just wait for the time to get ready and then find something to look at. We'll look at the section. Over the.
Maybe if we can zoom in on some of these.
Yeah. What do I want you said that? I'll just fly in.
Okay, so we're
You want to rock? All right.
Currently, we're scheduled to have another dive start in about like 7 hours or so. I know this one's running a little behind, so we are planning to be back in the water this evening. I just don't know exactly when for you. But we will be back.
Tony, that's the last waypoint there, and then we'll commence recovery. We just got the guys getting on the back deck there.
Copy that, mate. I'll give the deck guys a shout.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to begin our recovery shortly here. We're at about 100 meters, so I'll probably just sign off around now. And we'll leave the cameras running. But it's going to be real short midwater. You can actually already see the light from the surface. Especially if I cut over to like the HD behind us. Oh yeah? Let's just turn the lights completely off here.
Hey-o.
Hey, you got us?
Oh, it's just, there we go.
Yeah, we let the bridge know. He said he's calling the deck guys.
No, just
Roger, deck guys.
just off the back. Yeah.
No floats yet.
Okay.
All right. We'll see folks for the next dive later this evening.
Yeah.